James?
Sure. I was mentioning earlier, I am a small business owner, and we've been looking at the healthcare, the changes that it will cause in terms of our cost structure. And for 2011, our costs are going to go up. I have a business that's slightly less than 50 employees, and our costs are going to go up around, not around, 19.7%. Now, we have a fairly, I think, robust benefits plan, but in speaking to other business owners, I'm hearing ranges of 12 to 20 in terms of costs. And what the healthcare, my benefits and my healthcare providers are telling me is some of the costs being built in surrounds the uncertainty of the plan. And I guess my question is, and Karen, you're fighting for me out there in terms of a small business owner, so I appreciate it. But I guess my question is the lawsuit contributing to any uncertainty or to, I guess, something that maybe creates a lack of clarity, and they're padding prices in order to basically hedge the. This is the healthcare industry is padding prices to hedge the risk. Anyway, there's my question.
Lots to answer, Karen.
Sorry,
Go
Karen.
ahead.
Right. No, and I feel, I feel for you. Our small business owners are hearing, we are hearing from them that their costs are significantly increasing as a result of this healthcare law. As far as the uncertainty that might be created with the lawsuit in particular, first of all, I think that so much of what you're seeing, truthfully, is because we've got mandates going into effect before other provisions of the law. In addition, you already see the insurers, if you will, changing their model and the kinds of policies that they're willing to offer, because this isn't just about Congress telling us that we have to buy insurance. It's telling us what kind of insurance we have to have. And so many small business owners are hearing that the policies they have now are not going to be available to them next year. The insurers are already getting out ahead of this. Bottom line with the lawsuit, though, is fundamentally our members think this is very much about health care, but it's also just about our liberties in general. Again, if Congress can force you to do something just because you're alive, regulate you for inactivity, if you will, then it's really hard to see where the limits are then on the power and control over all their lives. It really just isn't about health care anymore, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's the problem, everybody, with the, we're going to see this when the midterm elections hit, because, the voters are saying that, again, it goes back to uncertainty. Corporations uncertain, small businesses uncertain, taxpayers uncertain. What is their bill going to look like? We can't delay this any further, and then the debt just keeps on rising, as Ashley's pointing out.
Well, James, what do you think? Will it clarify things if we get a change of tenor in Congress come November, as people are predicting? What do you think? Will that increase certainty? And let's stop beating around the bush. People are saying it's going to be Republican-dominated. Is that going to change things? Will you, as a business owner, be more certain?
I think there is certainly maybe some concerns that when one party controls everything, maybe this is to a certain extent the results. In which case, I think there will be a changing of the guard. I think that's pretty clear. And as a business standpoint, we are looking for some kind of clarity. And to a certain extent, I have to admit, we'd like the government to step out. And we don't think they are the ones who maximize the employment opportunities or actually create the jobs or actually incentivize. So I know they had to stop the forest fire, but the fact remains is I think we now need the private sector to step in. Regulation's a different story. I'm all about, I have no problem with that. I know that adds some cost, but the fact remains is I don't want them spending
And
our
Republicans
money.
are almost certain to let the Bush tax cuts continue rather than the Democrats who would
right. Well, I don't know, Dunstan. I think it's not a tenor. I think the polling shows that they want to throw out the entire choir.
I'm
November.
with them.
That's, that's what I seem to be saying.
Republican, Democrat.
All right, Ashley. Okay.
Sure, Victor. Two questions, a micro and a macro question. On the micro side, who is the ideal customer for Hotels.com? And the macro question is, while I'm seeing an increase in business travel, are you guys in fact seeing the consumer, the retail? Are you seeing a spike in activity? Because I'm maybe not hearing about staycations, but now I'm hearing about drivecations. But again, the micro is who's the question? Who's the customer for Hotels.com? And macro, are you seeing a business, retail travel picking up?
Sure. For Hotels.com, there are really there are two types of customers that are best for us and that are best utilize a service like ours. One is that small business consumer, someone who's managing their own business travel. They don't have a corporate travel department and they have to manage their own travel. We offer, over 60,000 hotels here in the United States. So an unmanaged amount of an unmatched amount of inventory that we offer here in the United States for small businesses, for folks that have to get on the road and go see a client, or these these are calls that they used to be able to make over the phone, and now they want to do face-to-face. Hotels.com offers tremendous amount of inventory for those small business customers, and we have a loyalty program that really suits those types of customers. And then leisure customers as well, those folks that do want to get on the road. I think this sort of leads to your macro question. We find that over 60% of our customers are leisure customers, and those customers are focused on, driving somewhere between 300 to 400 miles at the most from where they live. And so finding hotels for those individuals, folks that want to get away on a last minute, getaway for the weekend or last minute vacation. You just want to, drive up the coast if you're in Atlanta, for example, or if you're in LA and you want to go down to San Diego for the weekend, something to that extent. That's where we find, from a leisure perspective, those customers are, find a really good match with Hotels.com's offerings. In terms of the macro picture, I think what you're finding is, I'd echo a bit what you said, is that business travel certainly came back first, and so we started to see business travel pick up in 2009, and then we saw, so that was sort of individual business travel, and now we're starting to see conventions travel pick up, and so you're starting to see places like New York, Las Vegas, Orlando, Chicago start to pick up from a business convention perspective, and the third leg of that stool is really the leisure customer. We did see some leisure travel pick up. We saw really healthy traffic over the course of the summer. So following the Memorial Day period until the Labor Day period, we saw really healthy traffic this summer. Wow. And the expectations are that that will continue unless there are sort of tremendous economic bumps down the line.
Wow, a lot of information. Victor Owens, North American Vice President of Hotels.com. Thank you very much, Victor. All right. Best guest time on this Friday. Remember, read everybody's best guess on my latest commentary at CassoniExchange.com, and follow me on Twitter at Cheryl Cassoni. All right, guys, best guess, and Jim, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. The mortgage market and the housing market actually took another blow this week. First, you had the suspension of foreclosures on that topic, and now you have the topic of putbacks, which is essentially the owners of securitized mortgage products wanting to put them back to those who sold them and doing it at par. So this is a $1 trillion problem. Bank stocks, particularly those of B of A and JP, who are very big in the mortgage business, took the biggest hits. So you have a $1 trillion problem, but in reality, expect something far less and far more manageable. Too big to fail, despite the comments to the contrary. It's something the Fed is going to continue to operate. They didn't save the banking system with $800 billion of bailout money and countless other programs to let it fail on the next hiccup. So again, big topic, big numbers. But again, small problem. It'll be manageable, tough, but fair.
All right, Dustin.
Speaking of our redesigned website, my best guess is based on a good piece up there now by my colleague Matt Egan. It asks the question whether or not maybe it's time for Ben Bernanke and his colleagues to start holding press conferences to explain the decisions.
Never happen.
Well, I'm not so sure about the European Central Bank does it. It's been very successful. It works. And in Matt's story up there on foxbusiness.com, get some very articulate voices making a good case for it. My best guess is that maybe we're not too far away from that. Maybe a spokesman, maybe some press conferences by Bernanke himself.
You would need a translator.
That's the whole point,
conference.
to get a translator.
That's
the point, to get a spokesman or somebody to translate.
All right, guys, thank you very much to both of you. All right, coming up.